Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you for joining into my YouTube's The Voice of Healing. I'm honored that you're here and that we are able to share this time together. Today, I'm going to talk about group distant healing sessions. What does that mean? A group distant healing means that there are people from all over the world joining together as one. And I do believe that when we all are joining with the same intention of a miracle, that we are putting that intention out for each other. So when one is healed, we are all healed. And I always find it fascinating how they're formed. It's like God forms these healings with people that have the same symptoms or same issues that are going on. And so when I address one person, the other person's feeling it as well. So these are remote sessions, and being distant, the time zone's different, and that might be hard to say, well, I'll be sleeping, or I might have to be working, or what if I can't be present during the time that the session is taking place? That's okay, because then you'll just receive when it's happening, but then you can listen to it when you have the time. That's the beauty of recording these, that they're all recorded and then sent to you. But I want to share to you because it's really amazing to me how group sessions work and how everybody was touched. So this is one session, and these are just a few people that I grabbed from the session. But this is one person that said, "I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the prayer of healing I received through you today in this group distant session. Besides the gastric issues I've asked for in this healing, I've also had allergies so bad for the last 2 years or so that I've had so much drainage that even Flonase and a daily allergy pill can't fix me. It causes my esophagus to hurt, my throat to constantly itch, and of course, I'm coughing all day and night. While I was listening to you, I started to be able to breathe through my nose. Isn't that amazing? That's a miracle considering I'm camping up north and the wind has been restlessness. I'm looking forward to a good night's sleep without a cough or a drop. Like she sleeps with cough drops in her mouth. And her husband was like, even like, wow, you didn't cough at all tonight. So I loved hearing that story that she put her intention out there that she really wanted to have her gastric issues dealt with, which we did work on those issues, but that something that she thought, well, this isn't that bad. I have these allergies. I can take allergy pills and things for it. That was addressed. And then here she was fixed immediately. And like I say, some healings will take be a process, and some healings will happen instantaneously, just like it did for her. I love these words from this gentleman. This is what he felt about after he listened to the session. He said, "You are bringing each person who is having a healing a direct connection with God. This is so significant. The healing is much more than a healing. Here, the healing becomes an avenue to forge a closer connection with the infinite God." And he could have said that better. That's exactly what I feel I'm doing. I am that conduit. But to hear somebody else say that they felt the healing was so much more, it's an actual direct connection with God. It was nice to be able to read what somebody else said, and I resonated with that. I was grateful to hearing that. This one says, "I'm so sorry it took so long to respond, but I'm so happy and grateful um, that I'm no longer in any pain. I did a healing with you months ago. I haven't had pain in more than a year, that I've had constant pain for over years, but I'm so extremely grateful and happy." So she suffered from, she doesn't even tell me what kind of pain she had. All she says is she's pain free and she no longer has pain. Um, and she says, "I know I'm on the process of healing to finally being back to normal." Isn't that interesting? We don't feel normal when we're feeling sick. We feel off. We don't feel like we're ourselves. And she's feeling herself again. There's nothing greater than that. When I had cancer, it became debilitating. I wasn't myself. I was in pain, or I couldn't do the normal activities that I normally could do. And it was debilitating. And I also wasn't myself. I didn't have the same energy. I wasn't filled with joy. I wasn't able to do the things. And so I understand what she's saying, but to have no more pain after she suffered for years, that's just beautiful. And that came from that distance session. So this one says, thank you for a gift of connection to God in our group healing session. As this session started, I felt this incredible weight of energy envelop my body to the point that I couldn't move. That's interesting. I've had a lot of people say that, that they'll be laying down and the energy is so strong, they can't even move their arm, they can't move their head, they just have to stay still. And the reason that happens is because you're receiving such strong energy that God's like, no, for you, you have to stay still. And you'll get that feeling. And it becomes undeniable what's taking place then, too. It says, I felt this heat and intense pulsing vibration come over my lower arms and my elbows to my fingertips. They stayed for the entire healing. I also felt a lot of energy in my left abdomen, hip, and down the left leg. Also, the right side of my head and over to my left ear was a prominent later, but was much later in the session that I seemed to wake up. So she actually fell asleep. So she didn't feel much until later on into the session when she woke up. At one point, I had a conversation with God, and we were having a conversation. So in her consciousness, she was in the room spiritually with me, having this connection with God. And I can remember taking them on a spiritual journey to have this connection. And God was talking to them. And she says, at one point, I had a conversation with God, and I'm like, what? So she remembered while she was asleep this conversation. And she said, God was talking about my current struggles that I have been going through that I haven't been able to really verbalize. But now just being able to verbalize that to God in this session, I feel at peace and I know that all is going to be okay. And what was happening is she was having so much fear that she couldn't talk about it. She didn't know how to handle it. But God said the right words to the entire group, but she knew that those words really were for her. And that's why I say when you are in a group session, don't just discard the word and say, oh, those words are for somebody else. They don't mean anything to me. Own it all because they're being said to you. I say, listen to the words as if all of the words are being said directly to you, not to the group. As when we took a spiritual journey, each one of us stood alone and we were receiving that energy individually. And that's what you are. You're receiving the energy, you're receiving the words individually, but we stand together holding that intention for that miracle. She says she no longer has the fear of moving forward and for her future. But the other thing is God gave a mantra for all of them to say. And she says, I will continue to listen and use my mantra daily. Thank you for all the wisdom and the stream of God's love that I felt through this presence. That's what it is. It's all about love. God is love. God places his healing light and love into these sessions, into you. And it's undeniable because when I feel God enter, I just feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to cry. And it's undeniable. It goes through me and I'm like, oh, and I start weeping and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help it. I'm crying, but God's here in the room. So this one, this last one that I'm going to share, she describes what she felt as she was having different sensations during the session. She felt like someone was putting her hand on her head. She felt touches on her ankles and legs, tingling in her knees, sharp but not too sharp pain on the left side, tingling along the neck, and like someone was touching her jaw where her teeth were giving her a little trouble. And I can remember going to the jaw and saying, oh, they're working on the jaw here. Somebody has a tooth issue. And they were at that point. But I did see at one point Mother Mary come into the session, and that's very rare. And she said at one point I could almost see Mother Mary. I I thought, wow, 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 she was feeling that. She did feel at times a breath of air about her that was cooling and soothing. So she sat for about an hour, for she felt that that's how long the session was take. And when she got up, she felt dizzy. And I've explained this before. Being dizzy, one, you emotionally, physically, and spiritually have a session and taking a spiritual journey, coming back, you could be tired, you could be dizzy, but to have a spiritual surgery, you receive medicine. So she was feeling dizzy from the energy change, from that connection of going out of body, having a spiritual journey, and from having medicine put in her, from all of it. Um, and then she goes on and says that the tingling on the forehead, I felt that tingling on the forehead too. And so I mentioned it, and she was feeling it before she even listened to it. And then she heard it again and felt it again during the session when she listened to it. So it happened to her twice. And that was like a validation from spirit, like, yes, you were feeling this. And yes, Deborah was feeling this. And yes, you are feeling it again, letting her know that somebody was there with her, that she wasn't alone, and that they were working on her physically. So amazing on how many elements of physical and emotional healing that related to me that came up in a group session. I suppose several participants have the similar issues, but do find it really interesting that many of my needs were addressed. So that's what I say. It's She didn't think that maybe one thing would be related to her, but she said it felt like so many things were related to her. And that's what everybody was saying, like they received a healing. And that's what I want to say. You are joining a group, but it's for you. This is for you. This is your day. And when we do form a group and we hold hands around the world, we are setting that intention. God, heal us all. And it's like the power of prayer. You know, we say prayers for everybody, and we say, let's get a group to pray for this person. And they might say, wow, I really felt that. I really felt that. I really needed that. I felt that love. I felt that intensity of that. And that's the same with the groups, is the energy is very, very strong. And I'm not going to take that away from a private session, because the private sessions are really strong too. It's just that it's beautiful. It it's so beyond beautiful to join with people all around the world and be able to do a session for each and every one of them, and then hear that each and every one of them were touched. And so that's what I want to share with you about my distant group healings. And if you want to learn more about them and you would like to join one, I usually do them monthly. You can go to my website at www.goldenmiracles.com. And you can also, through my website, listen to my podcasts. They're free. Join my Facebook. Um, Join my Instagram for inspirational daily messages. I am honored and I feel so blessed to have this voice, to have this platform, to be able to voice God's healings. So when I say I am, you know, the healing voice, it's or the voice of healing, it's God's healing that I am voicing. And I just want to give gratitude to all of you for tuning in, and gratitude to God for using me as his instrument and vessel for these healing sessions, because they really are profound. And you can even read about more of these healing sessions in my book, Proof of Miracles. With that, have a blessed day until we meet again. Bye for now.